Hey guys, it's Mickey Foley0105. Today, I'm back after 2 months of not making a video, but in this video, I'm going to be reviewing WrestleMania 33. I know it happened 4 days ago, but I didn't have my mic with me at this time, and this isn't even my main mic, but it's still a pretty good mic, so I'm going to use it anyway. And yeah, so now let's get into the review of WrestleMania 33. So the first match was AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. So basically, I thought it was a pretty good match. It was a normal in the beginning, like normal holds and stuff, like not really that many holds and stuff, but there was a one point in the match where AJ Styles kicked the referee in the head by an accident when he meant to kick Shane McMahon, and basically they used weapons when he was out, and eventually Shane McMahon did an elbow drop into the table, but I'm pretty sure AJ Styles got out of the way, and then he also did that kick with the garbage can, and eventually AJ Styles won. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty good match. It still wasn't my favorite of the night, but I still thought it was a pretty good match. And let's move on to the next match. The second match was Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. The storyline was pretty good. It was based off of what happened like 2 months ago when Kevin Owens turned on Chris Jericho, and it's been leading up ever since then. So the storyline was good in my opinion, but the match itself wasn't. It was kind of forgettable in my opinion. Not the storyline wasn't forgettable, but the match itself. I know a lot of people did like it, but in my opinion, it was. It wasn't too entertaining to me, but I still did watch the full thing. There were some moves that were sort of high flying, like Chris Jericho did his moonsault, and there were some reversals and sort of stuff like that. But overall, it was one of my more least favorite. I'm not saying it was a terrible match, but out of all the matches on the night, it wasn't. It was more on the least favorite side. But anyway, it was still an okay match, though. So here comes the next match. So the next match was the first women's match of WrestleMania. Well, at least the first women's match of actual, like, live, actual WrestleMania event, not the pre-show. And it was Sasha Banks versus Charlotte versus Nia Jax versus Bayley. It was a fatal four-way match, and basically, of course, Nia Jax is the most dominant out of all four of them. So Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Bayley teamed up some of the time to try to take her down. Nia Jax got eliminated first, and Sasha Banks and Charlotte, as you can see in the photo, power bombed Nia Jax together, and eventually Bayley won the match. Anyway, yeah, overall it's a pretty good match. The next match was a fatal four-way tag team ladder match with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows versus Sheamus and Cesaro versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus the Hardy Boys. And they actually returned when New Day, the hosts of WrestleMania, announced that there was going to be a fourth tag team coming in to make it a fatal four-way instead of a triple threat tag team match. I actually thought it was going to be the New Day themselves, so I wasn't going to be that surprised. But then when I started hearing the Hardy Boys music, I was like, wait, what? And this was actually personally my favorite match of the night. There was a lot of like high-flying moves. Matt Hardy did a twist of fate. You saw the picture before. He did twist of fate off the ladder, and then Jeff Hardy did a swanton bomb off the ladder onto Sheamus and Cesaro from the top of the ladder into another ladder. And yeah, I thought it was really cool, and it was definitely the biggest surprise. Well, one of the biggest surprises of the night. This match was John Cena and Nikki Bella versus The Miz and Maurice, and this was a mixed gender match. I think that's what it is. And both of them faced each other, but the guys weren't allowed to face the women. They would have to tag in. And basically, the storyline was after The Miz and Maurice were dressing up as Nikki Bella, making fun of like Total Bellas or Total Divas or whatever, and eventually, John Cena and Nikki Bella won, but John Cena actually proposed, where you can see on the screen right now, John Cena proposed to Nikki Bella, because if you don't know, he's John Cena didn't want to marry Nikki Bella for a while, and I guess he finally made up his mind. So that was really cool to see. I actually kind of was expecting it, but still, at the same time, it was still pretty surprising. But also, I still expected it. Yeah, it was actually mainly that was like one of the more one of the biggest parts of the night. So let's move on to the next match. The next match after that was Triple H versus Seth Rollins, and this rivalry has actually been going around for almost 3 years since Seth Rollins backstabbed and turned their back against the Shield with Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and that's when Triple H brought him in, and I guess there's been like a rivalry brewing since then, and they basically fought out, and Stephanie McMahon was on outside the ring, and eventually there was a really cool part where Stephanie actually got thrown into the table because when Seth Rollins like kicked or knocked Triple H over, and then it hit and he fell into Stephanie McMahon. She fell off the ring and into the table, and I was extremely surprised about that. That was one of my actually favorite parts, and I guess she's supposed to be out for a few weeks, so actually I'm happy about that. So yeah, this was a pretty good match, especially the ending of it. And then it was Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, and this rivalry has been going around for a pretty long time, since Smackdown Live started, a few months after that, when he joined the Wyatt family. And this match was okay. It was one of more on the least favorite sides of the night. But it still wasn't a terrible match. There was like these things where like these worms or maggots kept popping up at the ring and kept scaring Randy Orton. As you can see if you look closely at the ring, there's like random things popping out. And this match was also for the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, or WWE Championship. I don't remember which one. WWE World Heavyweight Champion, yeah. I just know they changed it. And eventually Randy Orton won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm not sure if they're going to have any other matches. I think they might. I haven't really been paying attention since then. But yeah, overall, it was an okay match. Then this match was the biggest match I was looking forward to because it was Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. I was getting so angry when Goldberg kept beating up Brock Lesnar. I don't know why, it just didn't seem right. But in this, Brock Lesnar was beating him up most time. Like, Goldberg got some offense, some momentum, but most of the time Brock Lesnar, and he eventually F5'd him. And he did a lot of suplexes, German suplexes. He did about 7, maybe 6, 7. I don't remember for sure. I thought it wasn't like an amazing match, but it was still the most hype one, I thought. And eventually, Brock Lesnar won the Universal Championship. Then this next match was the next and last full-on Divas match for a night, and there was not Divas, I mean Women's Championship, because they're called Women's now, and it was Naomi versus Alexa Bliss versus Natalya, Carmella, Becky Lynch, Mickie James. Eventually Naomi won. I actually wanted her to win the most, and this was for the SmackDown's Women's Championship. There was a good amount of high-flying moves in this. I don't remember like the full on if there was like there wasn't like an actual like big storyline for this. It was mainly just like they put it out and it was for the championship. I thought it was a pretty good match. I think it was better I think it was better than the slightly more than the Sasha Banks and Nia Jax match. And yeah, and eventually Naomi won, like I said, SmackDown Women's Championship, and yeah, it was a pretty good match. And then finally, the last match was Roman Reigns versus Undertaker, and this was definitely the most disappointing match in my opinion. It wasn't really that entertaining, and I so far thought that the Royal Rumble was really good and that no one was really going to complain about, well, most people, but then they had to make Roman Reigns win. And eventually, this was actually Undertaker's last match. So think about this: Roman Reigns is known for winning almost like every single match because he gets pushed a lot. But this is Undertaker's streak. This was the last. I know he already got beat against Brock Lesnar, but this is the last match. Couldn't they have made him win, or was Roman Reigns winning more important? So I was really disappointed by this and angry. But whatever, that's just my opinion. It wasn't that good of a match in my opinion. And there was a really bad botch in it, by the way. But anyway, it was, whatever. So bye, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. And I'll try to make it sooner, but, whatever.